I adapted 5 movie curses so that you can use them in your TTRPG games. There are some spoilers in here, but the most recent movie is from 2012, so I think you've had enough time to watch them. Right off the bat, I will spoil the fact that this video is sponsored by Skillshare, but more on that later. Welcome to the table. I'm Kelly, and I think Voldemort sounds like he's about to sneeze when he casts the killing curse. Just me? First up is the iconic cursed treasure. Actually, I don't have to do the accent, I can just play the clip, but I want to. Cursed treasure of Cortez himself.
The cursed treasure of Cortez himself.
I'll give myself a 6 out of 10 for that impression. In Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, a pirate crew steals cursed Aztec gold and thus becomes cursed themselves. They become neither living nor dead, which essentially makes them invincible, but the downside is that they can no longer enjoy the taste of apples or the touch of a woman. It's getting worse. But since I'm pretty sure your players won't give a shit about those things, we need to adjust it a little bit. There are many ways that this curse could come about, but I think that they all fall into 2 categories. The first is where your players steal something or disturb a sacred site or something similar, and the curse is placed on them without their knowledge. Then they discover the effects of the curse as they happen. The second is where they learn about the details of how the curse works and its effects, and then they come into possession of the cursed item. This would allow your players to choose to use the curse as a tool. You could present them with a situation in which the curse could help them complete a task, but with potential consequences. I think the coolest part of this curse is this scene right here.
I'm curious. After killing me, what is it you're planning on doing next?
Oftentimes in campaigns, the villains get really cool reveals where you attack them and they go, haha, actually I saw this coming and I'm way more powerful than you thought. But I think it would be really fun to give your players a moment like that, where they can just strut into a place all cocky and whomp everyone. In the movie, the curse makes it so the pirates can't die. Obviously that's game breaking, so we can't do that. Instead, I would make the curse give them immunity to non-magical damage. This would allow them to easily cut through low-level guards and monsters and give them that feeling of being invincible, but not remove the stakes completely. To make sure the combat doesn't get boring, I would probably only run a round or 2 of combat before all the enemies retreat. This gives your players a taste of the fun, but ensures it doesn't turn into a boring slog. Now to adapt the negative effects, since the apples thing isn't a great motivator for ending the curse. Because your players are no longer living, I would make it so they can't gain benefits from rest or food. This would mean no getting abilities back after short or long rests, and it would also mean gaining a point of exhaustion every day.
Too long I've been starving to death and haven't died.
I would pair this with the new 1D&D exhaustion rules, which are just to subtract 1 per level of exhaustion from any d20 check. After the 10th level of exhaustion, you die. In this case, I would say your player becomes fully undead and loses control of their character. Because your players will become weaker and weaker as the curse wears on, you need to have them fully learn the effects and the cure for the curse early on. If you get too far into levels of exhaustion, then they're just going to spiral. Speaking of cures, there are lots of options. If you run this at a lower level, it may be as simple as needing to find someone to cast Remove Curse. If you run it at higher levels, maybe you need someone with greater restoration. Or maybe you want to run it as a full side quest, similar to the movie. You could have some of this treasure already missing from the dungeon, and your party needs to find the other part and return all of it to end the curse.
All the scattered pieces of the Aztec gold must be restored.
Let me know what you come up with down in the comments. Check out these cool gemstone dice that Magi7 sent me. They look like little galaxies. Thank you so much. I've been wanting to do this next one for quite a while. I've had this idea floating around in my head for the start of my next campaign, where my players arrive in a small town that serves as a transportation hub. In my world, this will be a cable car over a bottomless chasm that opened up when the material plane shattered, but it could be put into any place where the players need to spend a night before moving on. In my version, they wake up the next day, get on the cable car, and something catastrophic happens, sending them plummeting to their death, only to wake up in the same inn again. And the curse is, of course, from Groundhog Day. Except in this version, instead of becoming better people to get out of it, the players need to defeat a time wizard that is running experiments on the town.
Don't mess with me, pork chop. What day is this?
Your players will need to slowly solve the mystery of what's happening, making a bit more progress each day. To keep time tracking simple, I would make each place they visit, investigation check they make, or major NPC encounter take 1 hour. If they try to just stay awake, when the clock strikes midnight, they blink and wake up in their beds in the inn and it's morning again.
Do you ever have deja vu, Mrs. Lancaster?
To really sell the effect, I would describe a sequence of sounds and events happening when they wake up and repeat those in the same order each morning that they wake up.
Where's everybody going?
To Gobbler's Knob.
To end the curse, they just need to find and confront the wizard, and to keep the timelines from getting too complicated, this wizard is essentially casting a modified mass time stop spell. So the time is stopped completely outside the radius, and the time is on a loop inside the radius. The only reason that players retain their memories day after day is that they happen to die during the casting of the spell, causing an unintended glitch.
What the hell?
Now, before I tell you about a certain game that traps you in a pocket dimension, I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare has tons of classes on a huge variety of topics. So whether you want to learn how to beat procrastination, open an Etsy shop, or market your online business, Skillshare can help. Skillshare has learning paths, which are curated class sequences that can help you master a specific skill, like providing you with all the tools you need to start your own creative business. The learn by doing approach means that you can create and share a project after completing a class. Skillshare classes are led by industry pros who have real experience and an active community ready to support you. I already use Notion to organize my life and YouTube channel, but I'm interested in this class to see how I can improve my system. The way the sections are laid out for each class makes the information easily digestible, and the on-demand nature of the platform allows everyone to learn at their own pace. The first 500 people to use my link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so head to the link down in the description to learn something new. Pocket dimensions are pretty common in D&D, and so a curse in which your party gets trapped inside one can feel pretty on theme for most worlds. This is something that you will need to run at a lower level though, before your players have access to the plane shift spell. Jumanji is the inspiration for this one. There's lots of flexibility for this, but if you want to stay true to the movie, then it should be some sort of fictional game where your players get trapped inside if they lose.
In the jungle, you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8.
Also, if you are planning to have a time jump in your campaign, having your players trapped inside a demi-plane could be a fun way to do it.
What year is it?
Definitely talk to your players first though. Don't do a multi-year or multi-decade time jump without everyone being on board. If you're not doing a time jump, then perhaps your players have to play a life-size version of the game inside the demi-plane and win in order to be freed. This next one could be really fun, but there's also a possibility that it could go terribly, so please use it carefully. The 2002 live-action Scooby-Doo movie features the gang going to an island where Mr. Bean is trying to steal everyone's souls to make himself more powerful.
Welcome to my little end-of-the-world party.
Technically, the soul stealing would be the curse, but the part that inspired me was this scene.
Me again. Yippee for you.
Man, like, why am I wearing a dress?
After Shaggy rescues some of the gang's souls from Mr. Bean's soul soup, there's a bit of a mix-up and they become each other for a few minutes.
I can look at myself naked.
Oh, brother.
I think a curse where your players' souls get mixed up and put into each other's bodies would be very fun. Each of your players would get to play someone else's character sheet for a short time while they got the curse sorted out. I would run this similar to Wild Shape, where your players retain their character's alignment, personality, wisdom, charisma, and intelligence scores, but they get to use all the abilities and physical scores on the new character sheet. Before bringing this into your game, I would check in with your players to make sure everyone feels comfortable giving over their character sheet to another player. I would only recommend this if you've been playing with your group for a while and your players all trust each other. You also need to be really careful about the types of challenges that you throw at your players while they're resolving the curse.
Fred, you're a friggin' protoplasmic head. I know.
You shouldn't throw any seriously deadly encounters at your players during this time, because if one of your players' characters died while under the control of someone else, it would be devastating. So really try not to kill any of your players while they're under this curse.
Okay.
Another thing to consider is that this will be fun for a session or two, but don't let it drag on into a huge arc, unless all of your players want to. But most likely, your players want to play their own characters. That's why they built them. So make sure the cure for this curse is communicated to your players right away, and that it's attainable in a session or two. This last one is inspired by, but not directly pulled from the movie. ParaNorman is a delightful little animated movie from 2012 about a boy who can speak to the dead. If you haven't seen it and you like animated movies, I would absolutely recommend it. It's very sweet. The actual curse in the movie is that a witch raises the dead, and then Norman needs to use his abilities to save the town. But the ability to communicate with the dead and undead did give me an idea for a fun curse.
How's it hanging? Oh, haven't heard that one before.
If your players are exploring a crypt or some location where they might encounter a lot of undead monsters, you could have them discover a cursed item. Upon interacting with the item, suddenly your players are able to understand and speak to the undead creatures. Side note, This will be a great opportunity to have your party find out what the cause of all these undead creatures are, now that you can finally have these creatures speak to the party.
Bub? Is he there? How's he look?
Just be warned, there's a pretty good chance your party might want to adopt a skeleton or a zombie as a party NPC if you make them endearing in any way. But anyways, once your party returns to town, have the NPCs in that town just speak gibberish. This will be more fun if you roleplay this rather than just describing it. After a couple of interactions, your party can connect the dots that this curse means they can only communicate with the undead, or those who can speak with the undead. The second part is just so that they can still talk to each other, but it could also be fun to use this to find a necromancer or something similar that might be hiding in the town. If one of the town's NPCs can speak to them and understand them, then they instantly know that this NPC can speak with the undead. Maybe they're the one who's been raising all the undead monsters. I hope this has inspired you to have some fun with curses in your game, and if you do put them into your game as a side quest, maybe you should tie that side quest into the main campaign. Check out this video here. It also happens to be the first video I uploaded, just over 1 year ago. So for those of you who have been here for a year, thank you. And for those who are new here, welcome. I appreciate you.